about the wrong house that was haunted. Have you heard this story? This story was told by a male friend. He said his house used to be in the city center. After nearly 15 years of living together, the neighbors raced to build a towering high-rise house. Your family has a small neck and a small throat, so it's dark during the day and at night. So your parents decided to sell this house and move to the suburbs to make it more airy. The land my father bought was thanks to luck. People felt enthusiastic about it, so they sold it to him cheaply. What a bargain. The house is, that's it. The other day, my dad took me to see it exactly once. It was an old brick-roofed house. The main door looks like it's Chinese or something, it's arched, not rectangular. Seeing that it was too old and dilapidated, Dad decided to demolish it to rebuild a new house. The year you moved back there was the second semester of 10th grade. It all started with this cheap house. You studied very seriously that year, so staying up until 1 to 2 a.m. was normal. After finishing studying, you went to open the refrigerator to drink water when you heard a knocking sound. It felt strange because you opened the refrigerator very lightly, and there was nothing around to vibrate, so you looked carefully inside the refrigerator. It turned out that the water bottle in the tray made that noise. The bottle cap clicked against the mouth of the bottle, making a clicking sound. You don't dare believe your eyes. Try to observe if the refrigerator vibrates and you realize the truth. It's only the water bottle that vibrates. Moreover, it's very normal, the water inside is about 1/3 of the bottle. It keeps typing like that for about 15 seconds. You risk trying to pick it up and it goes silent. And then jumped straight onto the bed, not daring to turn off the light. Every time you come home from physical education and there's no one home, your parents work office hours, and your brother is at school, it's like you can't turn on the lights. Over time, you are afraid to go into the house at dusk, because you are sure that even if you go in and turn on the light, it won't turn on. So just wait outside for your parents to come home, then turn on the lights normally. There was a time when you were alone at home, the phone rang. You picked it up but kept calling, but no one answered on the other end. I was so angry that I thought someone was teasing me, so I hung up immediately. As soon as I hung up the phone, it rang again. And still the same situation. Then you calm down and don't speak anymore, listen and see that on the other end of the line you only hear the sound of wind whistling, nothing else. So you leave the phone there and don't hang up because you think if someone teases you, they'll probably regret paying for the phone. It was about 9 a.m. At 11 a.m., you try to pick up the receiver to see if it has given up. It's still the same wind sound, but it hasn't hung up yet. You're so scared that you hang up. It's very strange. As soon as the receiver hangs up, it rings again. It kept ringing until my parents got home. It was almost 12 noon when it stopped ringing. And when my parents go back to work, it continues. You were so upset, you unplugged the phone cord and took a nap. At 4 p.m., I tried to connect the phone again, but as soon as I plugged it in, the phone rang again. You have to endure it until your parents come home from work. The strange thing is that in the afternoon, when your father's friend calls your home phone, it always says it's busy. After a while, you started studying more and stayed at home less, but you weren't happy at all. On the way home from school, you notice a few light poles. Every time you pass by, they turn off. Not to mention that there was a time when I came home late at night, like 9:30 p.m., half of the street in front of me had all the lights turned off and it was dark, while behind me it was bright. You are afraid, so you turn to another road instead of taking the old route home. This street has street lights, but is deserted. When passing by a military camp, you hear the sound of a bicycle right behind you. You don't turn around but see the shadow of the street light falling on the floor. There is a mini bike and the person riding it looks like a woman right behind. Seeing the car close by and following me all the way, I thought this girl probably wanted to overtake. So you slow down and move to the right side to let her get on. At this time, you can still see the car's shadow behind you. Wait 5 seconds, don't see the pass, then you look back and the whole road is deserted. The section I just passed has no alleys at all. You felt so scared that you pedaled your way home. From that moment on, every time you shower late at night, it's like the power goes out. Can you imagine the feeling of being alone in the bathroom? Your parents are asleep and it's dark. If you get used to it, you get used to it. There was a time when you slept at the back house. Apparently that time your grandmother came to stay for a few days, so you gave her the room, and while you were dozing off, you heard footsteps. Here we need to explain further that you sleep on a bed with an opaque plastic sheet and behind the plastic sheet is a night light. You listen attentively, sweating and not daring to sleep. Suddenly I saw an arm, or rather the shadow of an arm cast on the plastic sheet, reaching out to turn off the night light. After that, it's not clear how long a figure appeared, opening the door to the back garden. At that time, even if you gave me money, you wouldn't have dared to call. And a moment later, someone walked in, but didn't close the door. Then a moment later another person came in, this time closing the door. You stay up until morning. At lunchtime, try asking the whole family if anyone turned off the night light last night. Everyone shakes their head. So is anyone out in the back garden? Neither. So you just shut up and don't tell. Self-understanding. Because you know there's nothing in the back garden. Late at night if anyone wants to go out there, they have to turn on the lights. That night light lasted just one more day and then it suddenly burned out. And then, many strange things began to happen. While my mother was sleeping, every morning at 4:45, someone would shake her left hand and wake her up. At that time, my mother vaguely thought that my father would wake me up, but he was lying outside. On her left was a wall and a closed window. My mother suffered like this for many days in a row, and when I told her about it at home, I was a bit confused. The reason why Mom knows the exact time is because Dad sets a timer to wake up at 5 a.m. to walk, and Mom is always woken up a little before the clock rings. Next, one day you just opened your eyes and immediately saw a white cat from head to toe, lying right on your stomach. I wonder how it got inside the house and how it got inside the curtain. Then my mother got scared, so she took it away and threw it far away. Many nights after that, someone kept throwing stones at your house and it was so loud that you couldn't sleep. One day you're home alone. It was about 5 or 6 o'clock or so. You don't remember because your parents were busy and didn't come home until 8 p.m. telling you to stay home and be on your own. You are sitting and watching TV on the table, having the habit of sitting on the table watching TV. In front of you is a cupboard with cups and a TV with a glass panel. While watching a movie, I saw that glass at the same time. I don't know when you saw a girl about 17 or 18 years old, wearing a white AODI, a hat, her hair covering her face, sitting on a stone bench in the front yard of the house. I couldn't turn on the light, It was dusk outside, so I couldn't see my face clearly. Obviously looking at the house. Because your house and your neighbor's house share a yard, you think it's the neighbor's daughter coming home from school without the key to the house. It's been like that a few times, so you don't care. Just let him sit there and watch TV together for fun. As soon as I glanced at the TV and glanced at the mirror, the bench was empty. It sat there for more than 3 minutes, not less. So you were so crazy it's the end of the road, rushed straight out of the house determined to make things clear. Oh my God, the whole alley was empty, only the wind rustled the leaves in front of the house. Charging at that time, the street lights were not on yet. You know that the lights in your house don't turn on. You're so angry, you run to the alley to see if it turns into any corners. There is no one either. It seemed like that afternoon, there was no one else in your neighborhood except you. Every house is closed and it's dark. You get goosebumps. Run home and sit on the porch until your parents come home. You don't dare tell. Many nights after that, every time you sleep, you hear the sound of people walking back and forth outside the door even though it's 1 to 2 a.m. Then there was a creaking sound. Day one was near. Some days there was a sound like someone was shoveling sand or digging something. At that time there was no one around your house building a house. And the scariest time was the scratching sound on the window glass. While lying down, afraid to pee in your pants, not daring to move at all, just holding your breath and listening and looking around wildly, there was a pop sound, as if something fell right next to your headboard. You were too scared to scream. Your parents heard you calling you to sleep in their room. Many nights later, my 3 friends went to sleep in the outside room to see if there was anything, but they heard absolutely nothing. During that time, you often lose sleep. Because in the middle of the night while sleeping, I felt a sharp pain in my foot as if something was biting me. When I woke up, I couldn't see anything. I looked next to me and saw my parents sleeping, so I felt reassured. But I don't dare sleep. You were almost under severe stress, depressed, and had no mood to study anymore. Finally, you passed the University of Architecture. The day you enter school, you are the happiest because you no longer have to stay at home alone. But you didn't expect. When you moved into the apartment and just unpacked your things, the school clock suddenly ran backwards, the second hand running backwards from left to right. You were so scared that you called your friend over to see and he was completely shocked. After running like that for a while, you give it to the other guy to try, then it runs again as normal. The next night, after cleaning your room, you take a shower. The bathroom here is common to all rooms, so you and the newbie should let everyone shower first. You don't get in until 10 p.m. While taking a shower, were painted red. Terrified, you ran to block the door, but a very strong force pushed the door back. Trying your best in your life or death instinct, you pushed the door open and looked back at the door handle to see it was still in the locked position. Then you tell this story to your roommates, and they tell you to go check the bathroom door. If you try to press the lock on the inside, they can't push the door open on the outside, the handle is stiff. As for pushing the door, it took both of them to use momentum to hit it. Self-understanding. The problem is that we deposited there for 1 month and had to pay 1 month's rent in advance. If you go, you will lose money. Afraid of losing money, you take a risk. Once in a while there, things like watches and clothes are lost, but only 2 to 3 days later they are again right in front of the door. Furthermore, there was a time when you dreamed that a 15-year-old girl ran into the room and said, "Please help me get the bag on the table." Reflexively you took it for her. But thinking back, I thought it was very strange. I quickly chased it out to the stairs when it turned around and gave you a pile of money full of hell dollars. The strange thing is that the room is full of boys, but the sweeper always has long hair. Some fibers are nearly 40 centimeters long. Horror. From then on, you decide that on the full moon day, you buy a piece of fruit and go to the terrace to burn incense and worship. Also diligently go to the temple and buy a Buddha statue to keep in your room. Paste a white tiger image and recite Buddhist scriptures before going to bed. The situation has completely decreased and now the other 2 children in that room are normal. You're the only one who moved because the internship was far away. The new place is a rented house. My best friend stayed for 1 year and then pulled me in to live with him. When he first moved in, he saw a picture of a girl wearing a kimono hanging on the wall. I thought it belonged to the owner, so I just left it there. And after you move in about a month, you suddenly discover that the painting is gone. If you ask, everyone will be dumbfounded. No one knows when it disappeared or why. And this is the end of the story. Everyone who listens to the story finds it interesting. Please give me 1 like and 1 subscriber. I hope everyone has fun listening to the story. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.